Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith of the Quant in the Black VTF here, T3 Live, and let's take a look. And what can you say? Moonshot. And so when you go, whenever you go out on the highs of the week, everything's going to look good, albeit many will say overextended. So as you can see, we got that inside day last Friday, and then boom, 5 days of straight up. So what do you say? It's just it's all momentum now. I mean, once you get going to the highs, we need to see what any corrective activity looks like. And what I mean by that is, if we pull back, how far do we go? Does the sector rotation go back into defense? What does it do? So right now, straight Momo to the highs, and what more can you say here until we see something that doesn't go straight up all day. We just don't know because we got this triangle them out, inside day gone. What we do have, as you look at QQQ. And QQQ just a little bit different because they had this slight lower low and now coming back all the way through here. And if you go to the monthly, it's just taking out those monthly highs, so just warming up. So potentially over an attack, and I'll get to that in just a second. If we take a look at Apple, even Apple just taking out last month's highs, and that was shooter, hammer, counter, shooter, and so that's over a 113.77, but nothing new there. Outside of that, you do have an outside weak fractal triangle, and that's going to look like this on your daily. Here you go, bam. Higher high, lower low, slight higher high, slight lower low in here. So we'll see above last month's highs, if we get any additional signals. Small cappers, moonshot, still going. You do have your doji Friday, and so if they want to bring them in, you got a little doji, and how far they're going to come is a whole nother story. I mean, they have done the monthly triangle, but as we've been talking about since it was down at the bottom. So once again, it's all Momo, no actionable signals there. We'll see how that goes. TLT going the other way. Puker, and it's still just walking down like this. So the question here is, you're going to get something like that, this wipeout, where it goes down, triangle they out, stop them out, all these guys gone, and then all these guys gone, and then just getting some accelerant to the downside. We don't have any actionable signals on that, but we'll see how that goes. Like I said, things on the highs, things on the lows. It's just a matter of reconfirmation or denial, so we'll have to keep looking at that. If you go to SVXY, I took that daily hammer. Here's this, much like the SPY, except here you can see it went inside day, the 1, 2, 3, tried to come down, then went hammer counter shooter. Still looking at this big monthly to see if we can finally make it up there and take out the highs and go up to par, but we'll see how that goes. All right, if we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds, and we know the Diamond's been ripping here hard too. And so the question is, Dow Jones, and this is like the opposite of the bonds, and you see it going, see if the bonds are going to accelerate like this to the downside. But now, whenever you get this much accelerant, boy, it's and you're on the highs, it's going to be case by case basis in the Dow. And if we take a look at some of that stuff in there, it's like, what could make it keep going? Well, you're starting off Cisco would be hammer counter shooter here, and one of those things too is the outside month and then reclaiming it. All right, so that's a fractal triangle here and getting back in, and still off the highs. We'll see how that goes. If you go to Microsoft, old school, just taking out the monthly momentum hammer, and once again, it's all Momo up in here. But if we're going to go and correct for a little bit, we want to see where this rotation goes. Period. If we go to DuPont coming up towards the highs, and that's just starting off as daily Momo hammer here, like that. If you go to Home Depot is outside day. All right, and if you go once again, look at this monthly, outside month, and trying to come back up in here. So just looking at anybody who's still got some room to go if they want to go take out the highs like everybody else. But on that daily, it's an outside day momentum hammer here to try and triangle expando, which things have been doing. So we'll see how that goes. Johnny John. And Johnny John went inside day and up here finally. And you see it got tight in here, took out both sides, then come down here. So the question, can it resolve back up? It does have this. This monthly is momentum shooting star to the downside if it's below it, but it's back into this range. Here, it retook this range and now sets up like this. For the weekly hammer, if there's any hope for the Johnny John, we look at the setups above 113.20. If you go to Coca-Cola, like I said, to see if they're going to start coming back into some more yield defense, you can see well off the highs. A strong week last week, and if you look at the daily, you'll see this. Something like this to try and get out of that. It was a nice inside day and up. Question is, how was it going to look like to take a shot up at this stuff? We could use some more actionable signals. Don't have them right now. McDonald's still well off the highs as well. if you go to the monthly here, and now McDonald's goes inside week here, outside week, inside week, to see how it gets out of this thing here. So be watching either side of that inside week for McBurgers. Merck RevStrat week, and that causes a RevStrat week 2 in the XLV. I'll get to that in a little bit, but inside week countered with hammer back in, and Merck really sticking it to them in here. And that's when you see these really tight ranges like this. When people like to play the breakouts, if they don't stay out, they take out both sides, right? It's tight, tight, tight. Ooh, let's try the downside. Nope, let's try the upside. Take them all out. Oh, let's try the downside. Nope, let's try the upside. And so how do we resolve out of this? But right now it goes trying to set up the RevStrat week. If we go to Nike, well off the highs here, but Nike finally is green on the month if there's any hope. You can see this slowly and steadily walking down, and Nike going to start off as an inside day here, see if there's any hope. If we go to Procter & Gamble, you can see this here too. Well off the highs here, 1, 2, 3, 2 months down, and then slight lower low and trying to come back up into this range. And so we'll be aware of that should some of this defensive stuff start to kick in. No evidence as yet, so we'll see. UNH inside Momo hammer on the highs, and and a lot of turmoil in the HMOs, but UNH has been chugging along, so if they can all get going here, momentum hammer there. It also starts as momentum daily hammer here to try and get through there. If we go to UTEX also an inside week here, and this was higher than that. That was good. And now you come up in here to see if we can get out of this range here with this momentum hammer. And the good thing, once again, is you go to the monthly, if it's going to get out of here and start taking a shot at the highs like the Dow itself. So we'll see how that goes. All right, if we go to the trannies, what do you say? Trannies ripper. Trannies. And we've been on that trannies ever since the election, and bam, gone, and even before. But go. And now it just goes to new all-time highs. And like I said, even when people say things are overbought, they can just sit up there and shop and do nothing up in here. So nothing new on the trannies except Momo, like everything else. And with the airlines, American Airlines does what it's supposed to. If you go to the weekly, go to the monthly. We're looking at this. Oops. The monthly goes right back up into here off of these two here. So you still got some room to go take out the all-time highs. You just one heck of a run here, 3 months like that. So like I said, a lot of these things extended, and we just got to see what the corrective activity looks like, because there's not much to go on in the airlines after this run. Delta coming up to new all-time highs. Been watching this triangle for a while, and remember these inside months down in here, and then finally got it going. So airlines just a little bit extended here, so not much to look at over there. If we go to the rails, and the rails might be affected a little bit by the oil, and we're going to do a lot of stuff to watch in the oil patch, but see this CP rail still way off the highs here, trying to get out of all this business in here. If you go to the weekly, see it just hovering around here, got them down in here like that. Got an outside week here, still to try and take that out. Starting off the day here is momentum daily hammer to try and get through this stuff, but we'll see. Because in an explosive market like this, you just keep looking at the guys that haven't hit the highs yet. And it's Norfolk Southern still working on it. Union Pac, we just way off of it. We just don't have any actionable signals in there. And we've been keeping an eye on this rail. Remember this from last week, the RevStrat week up here to try and get that thing, because this Freight Car America, it used to be somebody, so we're watching these things have got potentially a lot more room, been a lot higher in the past, so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, not much to say. FedEx going on in the highs, UPS going on in the highs. It's straight momentum stuff at this point. If we go to the Utes, now, utilities going inside week here. So the question is, do they take some off the table of all this real hot stuff and get into getting some dividends and stuff like that? We'll see. We got an inside week there. You got Southern Company. You got Dominion. You've got NEE. So we'll see how all of those play out. If you go to the REITs, not too much over there. VNQ here. Did come up, and it still is a monthly hammer to the upside. If you look at EQR, if they do back them off, EQR is green on the month. But looking at this daily, just shooting star potentially back into this triangle here, so we'll see how that goes. If we go to the FAS, oh boy, still inside day, and KRE inside day here all on the highs. XLF, so just a ton, almost everything there inside day after this monster run. So technically, it's momentum because it's going into the highs, but you do have actionable signals on all that stuff. You got Citicorp here inside day. You got Bank of America inside day. JP Morgan going right toward the highs. Wells Fargo, a little choppy up there, but it is what it is. They're just all ripping. PNC Bank. So we'll see how these inside days play out. Goldman Sachs right there, inside day on the highs. But a lot of straight momentum, obviously. Ameriprise Financial, there's another inside day momentum hammer, and stuff like this. Ameriprise, once again, in this group, you're looking for anybody who hasn't hit the highs yet. But we'll see. If we go to American Express, once again, well off the highs and starting off as an inside day. Here, you've got MA going inside day, and what that did was here, remember that took the inside month to the downside, but it comes back in for potential rev strat if they want to get her going. And on the daily, you see still putting in a series of lower highs, but now you got two inside days to try and take a shot at it. Visa is daily shooter, but it goes inside week here, so we'll see how the inside week plays out for Visa. If you go to MetLife, doing the slow chugga finally. We've been watching this. A little boring here, but the question is, they're going to do one of these accelerants. So they go, because remember the monthly, finally catching up to that Pru that hit that triangle first and went right through it. So still keeping an eye on MetLife. If we go to the XME, and remember last week, had the momentum hammer, then lost a little momentum later in the week. So it's no new actionable signal. It doesn't fall back. It's somewhat of a shooter. So we'll see. If we go to the gold, there's really where some of the issues are occurring. Gold is weekly momentum shooter, trying to get expando, something like this here. Took out all these lows and all this stuff in here. So potential trouble brewing there. If you go to silver, silver popped a little better, but it could be 3-week corrective action. Triangle that out and just right back down. And what that means when I say triangle out, if you look at the daily, pops its head up, takes out the range slightly, and drops back in. And that's going to give us GDX as Rev Strat week. His inside week countered with shooter if they want to go down sideways measured move and pummel these things again and put them back into Davy Jones' locker, if you will. So we'll see. We got AU. AU stays as an inside week. You got Newmont. Shooter in question is, once again, is this corrective activity going slightly higher against this to go shooter and just measured move and come to wipe them out? We shall see. If we go to GG, you've got the Rev Strat downside, GOLD. Here, Rev Strat downside, so I think you're getting the gist there. If we go to Alcoa, Alcoa stayed pretty tough here, and the aluminum's here. And you can see this business up in here. Let's see the bigger triangle and see how this is ripped. Smaller triangle down in here, expansion. And now how are we going to get out of this? Stop them out, come back up, and see if we can get through there. So if you go to CENX, a little bit weaker, but it's an inside day and closes an inside week. So Century Aluminum, once again, used to be somebody and now inside week. So we'll see how that handles that. Letter X had that momentum hammer and stayed up there, but nothing new on there, like Nucor. Here, similar, and if you go to RS backed off enough to certainly be shooter counters hammer to see if they want to bring these things in. And CRS goes up at CRS here, still inside month and up. And it's a little hard to see, but we'll pull that up for you. Still inside month and up there for the CRS. FCX here, struggling just a bit, but now on the weekly, 2-bar pattern. So technically it would be a Rev Strat downside because it took the inside week and closed back in, but it's 2-bar pattern because it's still in this thing. So we'll watch this consolidation depending on what's going on in Commodland. KLU, Kaiser Aluminum, KLU. Here is working on the inside month here. It's a big range, but that inside month above 85.69, we'll pay attention to that and see how it goes. If we go to the crude oil, and this is going to be the big patch of what we're trying to figure out here. Here's USO crude, and it's been doing all sorts of sideways, but it tried to Rev Strat month here and counters that with a hammer. So this is hammer up above 1110 right now, and here momentum weekly hammer. And if we can get these oils going, that would be another rotation where we might be paying some attention. If you go to XLE here, XLE had a pretty good week. You got OIH here had a much better, right? Which is going to be interesting here in a second, the OIH, because once again, when we take a look at these monthly charts, you remember, obviously there's a bubble in oil, but you're looking at all this stuff that's nowhere near the highs in XLE here. And then if you want to take a look at ERX, there you go. There's your triple if you want to start gunning that kind of stuff. So certainly going to be interesting. If we go to Exxon, Exxon technically is RevStrat month to the upside. A little hard to see, but you can. RevStrat was inside month, poked below the inside month, and came back in. So it's actually a RevStrat and a 2-month pattern trying to get out of this. It would get out of that at 89.37. That would be RevStrat month and taking all that stuff up. So we'll see how that goes because the Chever still chugging along. Remember this thing here, real wipe out the inside month, all right, and now up sideways, 6 months of sideways, and now breaking up here for measured move. Just no new actionable signals there to go after it. APC, and we're going to see a lot of inside weeks here. APC inside week momentum hammer. If they want to take that, BP still been struggling, but here on the monthly is monthly hammer and above that. So above 35.27, anytime there's full time frame counting to the upside, you got that monthly signal. It also starting off as an inside day. If you go to CLR, you can see that gaps up and comes in on the month, and now it would be inside week. If we go to CRZO, another inside week. So you just want to be careful on stuff like CLR and Carrizo because what they did was they opened on the highs of the month, and so that's a problem. So if the oil starts to drop, stuff like that is what we want to pay attention to because it's opened right on the dead highs and starts dropping in. And so until it takes that out, it can be considered down on the month. If you go to CWEI, all sorts of fun. And that would be an inside month, but it is red on the month, and it goes inside week here, and after this monster run to see what it's going to do out of that. If we can take that. If you go to Concho, CXO, there you go, inside week, right near the recent highs, almost all-time highs. So there's going to be a ton of these to see if which ones break. Do they break together? Do they break separately? What do they do here? You got Devon Energy, Momentum Hammer, inside week. EOG, the same, and EOG is green on the month. So EOG, once again, when you take a look at these monthlies, if they're really going to recover everything, you still got up into there. Starting off, though, here, inside week. If we go to FANG Energy, FANG, inside week there. If we go to Amerada Hess going down the highs, and you can see, unlike the other ones here, you got that green month. Right? It's opening and running here on this thing, and that's following an outside month, fractal triangle trying to come up into this stuff. No new actionable signals there, but that's when you're pulling things up. That's the difference you want to look for in which ones we're going to go after. So you've got MRO. Here's an inside week. You've got Murphy Oil. Here is an inside week, and Murphy Oil has been up over in the 70s, still down in the 30s. So lots of room if they want to get things going. Of course, the underlier is going to have a lot to say about it. OAS here, weekly momentum hammer, and it's just been caused by this, just kind of hanging around the highs here. How do you get out of this? But trying to go momentum hammer on the weekly is OAS. Rice Energy, inside week there. WLL, more way used to be somebody on the monthly. All right, way up in here. Now, how does it get out of here? Right now, it's going to start off as an inside week. Here, try and get out of that. If we go to Oxy goes inside week, and if Oxy can take this inside week, still looking to turn that month green. And if it does take that month green, it also goes RevStrat month here, hammer, counter, shooter. So the two levels on that you want to be aware of is 72.84 and 72.90, right around that same neighborhood if it starts taking out that week. If we go to PE, Parsley, once again, another one that opened on the highs and is now inside week to see if it drops back into this stuff. Even if it does, it would be a tall order to take this out, so it would be a 2-bar pattern. Remember, we saw that in PXD as well. Big outside week and now inside week. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. You go to XEC. XEC goes weekly shooter to see if it's going to hold this pattern. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, up, and then drop back in. We'll see how it handles that. It's also starting off as an inside day. If we go to SU, just another inside week, and but doji on the month. So either way on that baby. If we go to they're all services with the slob. So this is something when you see OIH doing this, right, and you've got slob and Halliburton going inside week, that's exactly what could fuel that a lot higher, or bring it in a bit. But if you're only looking at that and not looking at the major components, that's why we break it down, because you're seeing the first indication that things are going to move is these little guys are all poking up without oil really actually doing much. Because you can see Diamond Offshore is actually rev strat month to the upside. You got rig trying to come off the lows. Even the Tidewater and the Seadrill, they're starting to run all the dogs first. And so if that's any indication, that could be good. You've got OII is still inside month and up at this point. If you go to PDS, Precision Drilling, it starts off as weekly momentum hammer. ESV, been watching this. Nothing new on this. It's just one of those things that came up and did this. Up, trying to go sideways and measured move this, and used to be a heck of a lot higher. If there's any recovery in this or further follow through in the oil. If you go to DNR, little guy here, you've got inside week there. PGH, little guy here, and this is an inside week, and you can see this here. You got the slight lower lows, you got the slight higher high off of that, and it's an inside week, and so if it starts coming running through there, it's also on the monthly is rev strat month. This was inside, this is a hammer, if if there's any hope. So we'll see how that goes. And the refiner's not too much there. Still keep an eye on MPC, and you can see well off the highs, but somewhat momentum hammer here, but we'll play that as we see it. Natty Gas UNG is hammer counter shooter monthly, and been walking up this triangle here. If you go to the weekly, here, bam, 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 and inside week, and then gone for the natty, just to see if it can maintain, and just starting off as momentum hammer to see, because it is going to get cold this week in the next 2 weeks, at least where I'm at. So we'll see how that goes. If you go to XRT Retail, another inside day after a nice run here, and once again on the monthly, still plenty of room to go take out the highs. We're taking all this stuff, just starting off as an inside day. If we go to Costco trying to come up somewhat of the rough strat. Here was the inside month and came back with more of a spinning top than a hammer. So it's really an outside bar fractal triangle to the upside, as we saw down in here. Bam, 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 higher high, lower low, higher high, bam, bam, lower low, higher high. Came out of here, gapped on the earnings. Now an inside day to see if that can gap and continue there for the Costco. If we go to Target, remember Target on this monthly, still trying to get out of this big bar here, still trapped in there, but went outside to the upside on the monthly, and now setting up this week for Rev Strat week. Inside week pokes down a little bit, hammer, stops go here, here, and here. So we'll see if we can get Target. This was quite the move, though, right in here, but we'll see. This is a market that has quite the moves, so we'll see what it does. Walmart still stuck in the mud. So Walmart here still nowhere near taking out the inside month. So we need setups to try and do that before we really want to pay attention there. If we go Dollar Gen still on the comeback trail. Inside week, a big week to get out of. So any side of this, it has to keep going to try and take a shot at that or that. Otherwise, it's going to stay as a two-bar pattern. Dollar Tree inside week to see if there's measured move back to the highs or stall out here. So 2-week pattern there. If we go to DDS, not doing much here, but we'll see. This is a sideways consolidation here. It's actually rev strat to the downside if it takes it out, because it took out the inside week. Still 2-week pattern inside that. RH, ew. RH still a pig, and how they wanted a momentum hammer on the earnings, and no, now it's potential momentum shooter if they want to finish him and throw him in the garbage, because one of the things you don't want to be is disadvantaged in a big Momo market like this, because they'll just pitch you and throw you out. So certainly be aware of this taking out Friday's lows. If we go to RL inside week here, I'm still trying to fight. And remember, once again, Look at a lot of these monthly charts. RL used to be a lot higher, Ralph Lauren. So start coming into this business, but we shall see. It's inside day, inside week to start off the week. If we go to the IBB, IBB still peg. And one of the problems is that it's almost no way it's not going to be an inside month. Taking out that or that is a huge move. It also opened on the highs of the month. What it does have going for it to a certain extent is weekly hammer 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks completely within this bar. So how do you get out of, you're in the middle of this range? Do you take that or do you take that out? You're nowhere near that. So inside month probably coming for there. XLV just a little better by going RevStrat week. So here, and it made that slight lower low here and comes in RevStrat week. And if you take this out, you got stops and bam, 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 bam. So we'll certainly be watching that XLV, old school drugs like the Merck and stuff like that. If we go to GILD, another hammer. This thing has just been the drifter of death. If it takes it down, remember below here is momentum shooter to the downside, 71.39. But for the week, if it takes this back up, weekly hammer up over 73.13. How much you get out of that, a whole nother story. If you go to Celgene, once again, Celgene cooking the inside month, right in the middle of the month. How do you get out of this? Almost for sure. It does start off as RevStrat day. I'll give it that here. RevStrat day to the downside if they want to keep hitting it. If we go to BIIB here, another once again, not that there isn't going to be volatility in here, but if you're not careful, you get chopped up because we go here back to that monthly and still handling an inside month. So, basically, it's a lot of play the news on these babies. If we go to Regeneron, once again, inside month cooking. How do you get outside of this thing? You're nowhere near it. You do have this. You do have weekly hammer if they want to try and play some more shenanigans within this triangle, but tis what it is. If we go to Amgen, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks completely within this bar's range, so that's still a problem. How do you get out of there? And as the months go on, one of the things I talk about is like as the month goes on, and we're still somewhat early in the month, but as it goes on, if you're trying to trade something that's a doji on the month, it's doing nothing, right? And as you've seen all this momentum to go after, wasting your time on something that's doing nothing is, something you probably don't want to do. All right, if we go to Clovis. Clovis had a few moments. Come on, Clovis. Clovis had a few moments trying to take this inside month to the upside, but by the end of it, the weekly comes back for shooting star counters the inside week. So potential RevStrat back to the downside here, or if it starts coming up here, we'd have a re-break of those monthly. So Clovis either way on this. If we go to HZNP, peak. And this thing having all sorts of trouble on the monthly here. You can see this taking out last month's lows. And if this consolidation here on the monthly is a continuation of consolidated down sideways measured move, that would be mighty painful. Going to start off with a momentum shooting star on the lows. If we go to ICPT goes inside week if there's any hope in this thing. Here, if there's what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all within this side bar. We'd prefer the down sideways measured move into the lows. If you come up into here, you have a potential of a 2-week pattern and not getting out of that. But inside week for ICPT. If we go to Juno, in Juno, momentum shooting star monthly outside to the downside, so it maintains trouble below 1940. It's down there now. Kite was an outside week here, and that's going to give you the fractal triangle that looks like this. You recall this on the daily. Higher, high, lower, low, higher, high, lower, low, higher, high, boom. Tries to expand it and then tries to get back in the triangle. Now goes momentum shooter trying to expand this thing back towards the low. So we'll be watching that in Juno if they take that stuff out to the downside. PBYI, inside day Momo shooter on the lows, and a lot of these things, remember, they had high hopes on the monthly and now they're just going into the dirt, so they better cure something fast, and let's hope they do. If we go to Perigo still walking down this stuff in here, and just once again to see if they're going to flush the turlet with the momentum shooters on this stuff to start the week. Rare. And this thing's been holding up. Now, once again, you have this monthly where you're probably going inside month, outside month, inside month. But if we take a look at the dailies, because that outside month gives you this big triangle here, We've seen some of these things collapse out of this, so I just want to be aware if this thing starts making a run down into this stuff, it could be nasty. So if we go to RDUS still would be inside month and one outside week to the downside, and here you can just see inside day here if they want to just keep finishing it off. If we go to Sarepta, SRPT, still doing the waka waka of death, and now inside week momentum shooting star to see if they can finally take this bar out, because they've certainly been working on it. No green weeks since. All right, so, all right, if we go to Teva, which has been the classic underperformer, you actually have a hammer here if there's any hope to try and come off the lows. It has had a monster move to the downside here in the monthly. It takes all these guys out, so it wouldn't surprise me to take it out if to the back to the upside for a little relief rally. How far it goes is a whole other story. If we go to TSRO, this thing's still hanging out by the highs. Now, granted, it's red of the month. It still would be an inside month, but if there's any comeuppance here, it does go shooter here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 weeks inside of here. Now it's a shooter to try and come through there. If you go to the daily, you're going to see this. That shooter took out the slight higher high. Now the question is, they're going to be weak enough to go boom, 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 and take all these guys out in one shot. We'll see, or if it's just the pillar of strength. If we go to Techland, XLK. XLK going taking out those monthly highs. SMH here trying to take out the monthly highs again. So Techland. But if we go to the Fangers, Facebook here still stuck in this business in here, and but Facebook does go inside week here. If it's going to go down, slide, measured move, and try and take these guys out, or does it actually have the recovery in it? Inside week to keep on an eye on Facebook. Amazon goes inside week, inside day, still would be inside month. So still trying to figure out how it's going to get out of this big and range in here. If you go to Netflix trying to work on that inside month here. All right, got up there and comes back in. Still 2-month pattern right now, and there's nothing else really to go on that. But what I'd be watching here to start off the week is this outside day, then slight lower low and back into the range. So if it starts moving back towards here, we know we have fractal triangle out of that to try and take a shot up into there, but not too much going on there. Goog took care of business though. Goog went inside day up for 5 days, so still would be inside month. Just no new actionable signals on that. If you go to Adobe goes inside week here, and after a few weeks of coming in, inside week down. But in the grander scheme of things, the monthly, it's been walking. So you can see if this is all they got in it. 2-month stall out and come back up into that range. You got an inside week to start off in Adobe. You got AMBA having some problems here, and so AMBA near the lows of the month, and going momentum shooter to try and take this back to the downside. So AMBA certainly on the watch list below that shooter. If we go to BABA goes inside week, and BABA on the monthly comes and lands on this, the old triangle support here. It would still be an inside month, but BABA does go inside week to see how that plays out. If we go to CRM goes inside week, and once again, that monthly to see if that would take that week and take that month back green. It's been tried to hit it here, and see if they can muster something on the daily. Remember this big old triangle stuff in here, like so. Bam, 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 bam. Right? It's been nasty in here, right? But now you got your inside week to see if it wants to join the party, if you will. CTXS. Nothing new up in here except inside month to the upside. Flirting with a lot of eyeballs. Whenever you come into a range like that and you're going into higher highs, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs, but it presently is inside month and up. If you go to EXPE is stuck in this inside month. It's going to be interesting here, EXPE. Because it's still inside month, but you do have an inside week to try and break either side of that. How do you get out of this? Because you got TripAdvisor doing this. Just falling apart, but now going inside week. And the good thing for the inside week and Trip is you can see how handily this come off the lows. But if it does go up, it would be green on the month, and so you would have full time frame counting the upside. So TripAdvisor. If you go to KLAC, you got a whole bunch of semis inside. On the weeklies, KLAC, you got Microchip, you got LRCX, all that kind of stuff. And if you go to Xilinx is still inside month and up here as far as the semis are concerned. If you go to MLNX, Still chopping around doing nothing down in here, but you finally got an inside week to see if that wants to catch up or what it's going to do out of here. You can see this here. Takes these guys out up in here, takes these guys down out in here. Here's your triangle in here to see how it would play out of that. Inside week for MLNX. If we go to now, interesting here now. Now goes inside week. And so the question is, even if it comes up in here, it'd be a 2-week pattern. But ideally, you'd want down, inside week, and measured move, because if it goes down, it goes inside month and inside week and down combination. Go to Palo Alto. Palo Alto suffering here, but finally going inside week. And the question is, just take these guys out. Are you going to start moving higher, or is it going to go down, measured move, and really clobber this thing? So inside week Palo Alto. If you go to Qualcomm weekly, you can see stuck in here. How do we get out of this in here? You got your higher highs, you got your lower lows right in there, right? And if you look at the monthly, you're going to see this. They tried to hit it, couldn't do it. Tried to hit it, couldn't do it. Tried to hit it, couldn't do it. So if we go back to our daily, you're going to see this. Higher high, lower low. Couldn't make the higher high, makes the lower low, makes the higher high. Now hammer, counter, shooter to try and come through all that stuff. So Qualcomm certainly on the radar. Twitter's inside month and trying to go inside month and up of month 1951, which it is right now after the outside month. It just needs to stay out of there because unless it has a real big move, it's going 2-bar pattern. But we'll still respect the inside month and up in the Twitter. If you go to Texas Instruments, it's another inside week in the semis. Still would be inside month, but inside week for that. If we go to some of those defensive names, look at XLP. The question is, they're going to start coming back into this XLP. They certainly did in the last few days here. How much does that follow through? You got Kellogg's trying to come back off of this stuff, still walking down here. No new act. Oh, we do have an inside week for Kellogg's. Inside week for Kellogg's to see if this slide is over, if they want to keep hitting it. Because you got General Mills, not inside week, and pokes back up. And what makes that interesting here is it did poke below the lows of the inside month. So a 1-bar rev strat would come up and take out 63.93. You're almost right there. If we go to Mondelez outside month, and you can see this chop shop in here, and you might recall this if you go to the weekly. Here you're going to see this. What that's going to look like on the daily is this. So depending on what happens in the defense, certainly can watch how this triangle plays out if they want to rip her all the way back to the highs. If we go to Post is going rev strat month, albeit not going gangbusters, but if they do actually rotate into this stuff, rev strat month, hammer counters inside shooter 78.33. It's right there right now. If we go to some of the ag names really starting to pick up here, and this is when we look at those long-term charts, because if you looked at Mosaic and you'd say, oh, this thing's way overbought, I can't touch it, that's when you go back to the monthly and say, it's just probably just trying to get out of this stuff if there's any hope. Same thing with the potash. Once again, these things have been a lot higher and trying to get out of that. If you look at AGU's closer to just actually going and taking the highs out here. So no new actionable signals on a lot of this stuff, but certainly worth taking note because you got Intrepid potash. Look at this thing. Let's talk about IPI, little guy coming out of the ashes here. And it's like, and there's a difference between what chart you're looking at. It's like, it's overbought. I'm like, it's overbought. Are you sure about that? Well, maybe in the short term, but no new actionable signal there, but we'll see how that goes. And CF certainly coming back up, and I used to be somebody or trying to get out of the ashes, but we'll have to wait for some actionable signals on that stuff, but certainly worth noting. If we go to the gamer sector, don't talk about them too much. ATVI goes inside week, and we know these have had great runs, but you got inside week for ATVI, and you got an inside week for EA, and if they start going, you've got TTWO still hanging right near the highs, still outperforming there, so maybe pay attention to that. Now it's Christmas time. Just a few more. AMT, American Tower, and American Tower goes inside week, and American Tower is a fund favorite for years in the monthly, and so comes up in here, gets clobbered. Now the question is it going to be upper level, start moving back, or does it get back into all this stuff? But starting off as an inside day, inside week. DVA is still inside month back to the upside. It's well off the highs, but inside month and up. Keep an eye on that. Looks like it's starting off as an inside day as well. EXAS, and EXAS, you can see the violent moves this thing's had. 32 down to 5, back to 22, and so here it's Exact Sciences, and that's starting off as an inside week. So anything that can get that wild, I want to know about an actionable signal, and there it is. FSLR. FSLR still trying to come out of this business on the weekly. Expanded that slightly like that. So how do we get out of here? All this kind of stuff to see if we can come back up out of that. You got the daily here against all these guys. So we'll see technically rev strat to the downside, but 2-bar pattern to see if there's any hope there. If you go to Honeywell going inside day above the inside month. Looks like they want to try and forgive it. It's been waka waka back ever since they said things were so good, but then they actually said that they were good. So all right, we got to IAC. And you can see this big monthly triangle in here, still doing the waka waka back up as well. And right now it goes inside week if they want to continue this chugger here. So you just want to be careful when you see something that's moving like this, that even though you take the inside week, when you get up into this stuff, that's about where it stops. So you just want to be careful on how you play this thing, and I'd prefer to get something that would take out the inside week and propel it, as opposed to just waiting for the week break itself. If we go to Varian VAR inside week, and if it takes it out, would go monthly hammer back up after the outside month. If we go to Whirlpool's inside month to the upside and daily. Here would be slight rev strat. Inside hammer takes that out slightly. So Whirlpool combination to start off. Wynn Resorts and LVS, remember they got hit and they're going inside day. So the question is how they're going to get out of this stuff. And once again, this monthly's still tight. Really, Wynn just got to get out of here. And I've just been trying. So you just want to be careful when you see that. Chop. And LVS was a little bit better before, and they're both starting inside days. But MGM would be the one that has the chance to stay green on the month and take that inside day to the upside if there's any hope there. So we'll see how that goes. Finally, Tesla. And Tesla goes inside week. Okay, Tesla goes inside week. Still would be inside month and not doing much, but is going to continue to walk down like this. You're going to finally get something out of this inside week on a micro-managed basis. It would be rev strat to the downside if they want to hit it again. So either side, if it takes the week or if it takes that rev strat, we'll see how that goes Monday morning. But when you have a rally like we've seen, we really got to see what corrective activity looks like. We really got to see, where does new allocation go? I mean, do they keep pouring it on in the financials and whatnot in the Dow Jones? And if so, who? And how does all this oil play out? And what's the effect of the IBB stagnating going to be, and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we have a blueprint on the weekend, and then it game on, and then we call the audibles and whatever we got to do during the week, because the best research comes to Monday night after things go in for us. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Spitley in the Black Quant Edge VTF here at Teasley Live.